Sonic and a human love interest go together about as well as orange juice and toothpaste. Although most people would point to Elise from Sonic 06 as being Sonic's first human love interest, others might point towards Sarah from the 90s OVA, and those people are friends of mine because man, what a strange but fun movie that was. This isn't about Sarah, or even about Elise, because we're going to be going even further into the past. In fact, we're going all the way back to Sonic's inception. Way back in the wee early 90s, Naoto Oshima, the man behind the design of Sonic and Eggman, created the character Madonna. Madonna's name, and well, portions of her appearance, such as her hair, were very likely influenced by the popularity of the American singer of the same name. Now, Oshima has explained that his idea was that Sonic would have a very attractive human girlfriend that would chase Sonic around like a male fantasy, which, admittedly, a little bit strange and a little bit gross. This, however, is about where Madonna's role in the game would end. There's a bit of concept work that exists of her, and there's also this image from the Tokyo Toy Show in 1990 that features Madonna falling behind Sonic, but that's about it for her when it comes to the Sonic video game. So obviously, based on this, we know that Madonna never made it into the video games. But what's a bit interesting is that there are two stories surrounding her getting cut. In 2009, Madeline Schroeder, a name that I most likely got wrong, who at the time was Sega of America's product manager, mentions removing Sonic's girlfriend and taking him out of that rock band that he was a part of to soften his appearance for the American market. But the strange thing is that in 1993, Yuji Naka, who was in charge of programming the first Sonic games and actually might be better known today for his love of inside trading, said in an interview that Madonna was a silly direction that didn't fit the character of Sonic, and they didn't want any comparisons from Sonic to Mario with his princess. Likely Madonna's reason for being cut was a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B, but it's hard to tell. Interestingly, though, the character of Madonna would continue to live on in some unexpected ways. After the original Sonic the Hedgehog game was released to commercial success, Yuji Naka would pack up several members of the Sonic team and move to the United States in order to develop Sonic the Hedgehog 2 with Sega Technical Institute, which was located in California. Now, Sega in Japan had plans to release a Sonic game for the Sonic CD or Mega CD, depending on where you're from, and with a bunch of Sonic team gone, well, Oshima would be placed as the director of Sonic CD. This right here is interesting because Sonic CD would feature a new character to the Sonic roster, and this character was Rosey the Rascal, who would later on become Amy Rose. We can see a lot of Madonna's original character ideas in Rosey. She likes to follow Sonic around, and she's also the damsel in distress, much like what Oshima had planned for Madonna in the first Sonic game. So in an almost roundabout way, we can look at Amy's character as an evolution of Madonna, and a part of me can't help but wonder if Amy would still exist had Oshima not been placed in charge of Sonic CD. What I can say though is that making this quote-unquote love interest the same species and a much less thirsty design makes her a much better fit for the Sonic universe in my opinion. Now, let's say for some reason that you believe that Madonna should appear in something Sonic related. Well, Archie has you covered. In 2015, Archie would publish the Sonic Super Digest number 12, a comic that is so weirdly difficult to find that I struggled to find a PDF of it online. It's here that the character of Madonna Garnet would be introduced, and yeah, it's not the original Madonna. Madonna here would appear in an almost Captain America looking military suit as an agent for G.U.N. Now, boob sock aside, I think that her design is really cool and it's a very neat adaptation of this character, and thanks to Ian Flynn, there's also so much more to this character than just being a linked Madonna, as she links to several Sonic references. See, this Madonna, Madonna Garnet, is also a reference to Sonic's original origin story, which is very weird. The story follows a children's story writer named Mary Garnet, whose husband in the Air Force is named Hedgehog, and he would go on to break the sound barrier while working for the US Air Force, and he would be dubbed the fastest man alive. Now, like 40 years later, there's this other lady named Meg who would buy the husband's jacket, and while wearing it and doing some freelance photography at an air show, things would go sideways and Meg would find herself in the middle of a plane crash surrounded by fire and rescued by none other than Sonic the Hedgehog, who I guess was created from that Sonic Boom thing. She ends up with no real proof, however, that Sonic is the one that saved her, aside from a blurred image that shows a large pair of red shoes with a white stripe going across them. So that was something. Going back though to Madonna Garnet, her design and position within G.U.N also seem to be a reference to Topaz from the Sonic X series, which is kind of cool to see that this character encompasses so much of Sonic's origins and past, which is pretty appropriate when the story's title in this comic is Sonic Comic Origins. Madonna would be referenced one more time in Archie Sonic, and it would be during a gag panel where essentially they would just mention her by name by saying that the editor had rejected a Madonna and Rouge gag, meaning that they had nothing to do that week. It's overall a pretty funny little gag strip, except it does end with a shockingly busty Dr. Eggman, which is something that I can honestly say I've never wanted to see in my entire life, but now that I've seen it, I have to curse you with seeing it as well. Now, essentially with that, we've covered pretty much everything from the beginning to the now when it comes to Madonna, and it's really cool to look at a character like this because it's quite impressive to see what a large impact she's had throughout Sonic's history, considering that she began as a real nothing character who was scrapped during the incredibly early stages of development of the first Sonic game. If you enjoy this kind of content, please let me know, of course, and if you didn't like it, absolutely tell me you didn't like it so that I know not to continue making this kind of stuff. If you have anything you'd like to add that you think I might have missed regarding this character or anything that I had said, I'd love to hear. I love to learn all kinds of stuff related to this, and it was a super interesting topic to dive into because I was really surprised to see the amount of information surrounding it. Of course, if you think this thing earned any kind of like, subscribe, anything like that, feel free to do so. At the end of the day, though, I just hope you had a good one.